Football 101 with Coach Bret Bielema. Brought to you by Carl, the official health provider of Fighting Illini Athletics.
Welcome back to Football 101. Martin O'Donnell joined again by Coach Bret Bielema. And Coach, we're just going to be camped out here in the film room, if that's okay with you. But got some clips here to watch today, all three phases: defense, offense, special teams. But big win last week against Maryland, and we're going to get the chance to go through some of the key plays.
Yeah, obviously you were there too. The beginning of the game was really it had been raining all day. There wasn't really a lot of moisture in the game, but you're dealing with a slick surface. So this is about 1:50 left in the first quarter. It's a 3rd and 1 here. They actually run a little rocket screen out here where just kind of quick hit come out. But I do love the way our guys are running to the ball. Right, you can't preach effort and desire and hard enough, and you can kind of see it from this angle, but it's best from here. Now, I don't know who gets this out. This is Taz flying in here. This is Dylan here. This is Johnny coming from the side. Johnny's coming here, but you see a big mass of people, and we actually literally preach this, talk this, and do this during the course of the week. They call it their obsession circuit, and they work on stripping the ball out. So you'll see this ball just kind of come out here, and it's going to fall right underneath 74, but look at Kanena Odalaga, right? Just incredible awareness. You see him reach under here, and then you'll actually see him look and kind of get it and bring it back in. Just great heads-up awareness, and then this went to the challenge booth and replay. We didn't know if the knee was down, but this gave us a chance offensively, and then this is the final byproduct. We took over the ball at about 1:30, had a couple timeout, went all the way down the field, but then here's a good look, right? We got Caden in the backfield. This is after they'd called a timeout, and our offense felt really good about it. Here Luke is getting us in the right call at the line of scrimmage, and putting us in this situation, and I just was really proud. We'd already had a 3rd and 1 that converted in early in the game. That the next play was a touchdown. This was going into half, right? And you'll see the V right here. We call this a nice little dent, all right, which allows obviously Caden to roll right up and through there, and then that big body gets it across, and here you see that arms extended with the football over it, gets us in the end zone, and puts us on the board right at the end of the half, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, well, and good movement there if you want to go back just along the interior. I mean, obviously it looks like you're running just kind of an inside zone there, getting Caden the ball, who had a really nice breakout game, but seemed to be a good job, right there at the point of attack, trying to get movement up front. And like you mentioned, that V.
It is huge, right? So they're in kind of an oaky front, right? So they have a 4-eye, a 0, and then this guy's playing a little bit tighter 3 with an overhang, right? They have these guys immediately ready to fill, but just this nice little great here by Hunter. He's getting a good, this guy's getting it, but this is the area that we're trying to get, and you see Caden just coming right for the hiney of the guard in the center and gets his ability to push in.
Yeah.
Then this is kind of one of those moments where I knew how Maryland, I know Locks really well, right? They're in a wide here, which we kind of put our radar up. They were bringing this guy in motion, which should have condensed him a little bit more, but this play really was magnified, right? They're going with a little quick dribble onside. Watch Ryan Mead. He's right to the ball. He's essentially kind of like the nose, all right, from a defensive perspective, but he just does one thing. As soon as he sees it, he reacts, flies up, and this guy is actually coming to block him, all right? This is schematically, I think this guy was supposed to go block Ryan, but Ryan reacts so fast, and then he just literally comes up and blows some people up, and then you see Kanena Odalaga again. Johnny on the spot with his second fumble recovery, comes over here and gets it, gives us the ball on the 41-yard line to start the second half. So they were trying to steal a possession here, which really at that point, that's when I'm like, okay, hey, we're in their head.
Yeah.
We can play this game. We're playing this game from ahead at this point, and put ourselves great heads-up football. Our special teams obviously lapse a little bit against Nebraska, but for the most part, it's been one of the best units we've had here in a while in that phase.
Well, and one thing, so obviously we show Kanena's playing a lot more with the first-team defense this year. He's taking a really nice progression, but you like to play a lot of starters on special teams. Remember that last year? Sidney Brown was out there as a gunner on punt, but, talk a little bit about that philosophy.
Yeah, I think, twofold. So, Sidney, and now you see him doing it in the NFL, and that was one of the things when I began to talk to a lot of NFL scouts, GMs, even going up to draft day. One of the things they talked about, they're like, hey, Sid's like a human highlight reel on that punt team. And we've got a couple guys, doing that for us again this year. But Kanena, I think the greatest thing about Kanena is, when we got here, I was looking for kind of a signature guy. I was looking for someone, I got here late in December, and he was literally going to Penn. Mm-hmm. He's a really high academic young man, and was in a situation, he was going to Penn, and I remember talking to Coach, and he said, listen, Brett, I don't know if he's a tailback, I don't know if he's a linebacker or a safety, but I know he loves the game. I said, well, we can work with that. And now every day I'm just so thankful he's here in our program leading what he does. And then this kind of caps it off. We get ourselves marched right down the field from the 40-yard line there, and this gets into a 3rd and 4 situation. You're going to see Isaiah come over with a little motion. Obviously, he draws a lot of attention. You see things happen, and they're going to fire this guy off, right? Which, great job of our backs. This is Caden, but him and Aiden Lawfrey. So this ends up being they just subbed it up, but it still ends up being basically a 4-man rush. And look at this protection, right? If we can get this kind of protection, and then this is a little button route. Here comes Isaiah back in. He works off it. Luke sees him. And then once this is a great, we just call this dropping in the bucket, right? Stepping in the bucket. You see Isaiah, he knows he's going to get hit from here or here, so he just steps on the bucket, drops right underneath it, and gets vertical, and no one's going to deny him from getting in the end zone. Just a really good example of some good fundamental. Obviously, the scheme has to be here, right? So right. Coach Lunny always talks about protection first, right? So there's the protection, allows Luke to step up in it. And then now this route is a little bit late to develop, and then it's just great football. Look at him step right underneath it, steps in the bucket, into a shadow, and he gets vertical in the end zone. Really good example, and that really gave way to the next play. Next series we got a field goal. Gets down to the end of the game, 24-24 game, 3 seconds. We have an end of the game. We have an end of half drive and an end of game drive. We knew that actually Caden had come up to me and said, "Coach, if you get to the 36-yard line, I'm good." Yeah. Before the drive ever started, I said, well, so I told our offense, hey, 35, we're going to take a shot. 30, we'd feel really good. And then obviously Luke's scramble got us to the 25. Yeah. And then we targeted the ball and put it on the left hash. So this is really Caleb's favorite spot to kick the football. So get him in this situation. And for the second time this year, he's got a walk-off field goal. I thought this was really good. This is even better from this angle. This unit, the defensive unit from Maryland, was probably, I know Dish had said this earlier in the week several times to our staff and players, probably the hardest charging field goal block group that we had played this year. So this was something that, everybody went out there. We said, hey, let's make an effort. Let's get this thing down. But great execution, great rotation. Tip had the early forecast, right? Like some of these guys, you're going to love watching Lane here, right? Lane Hansen, right? Like he's literally on the ground, right? Got 200-300-pound bodies laying on top of that little man, and you see him looking up, right? So now it's going to slowly transcend, right? Here goes little arms up, and then Barlev, he's waiting for the confirmation. But I thought Caleb, he dead posed that thing right in the middle. And then what I loved his reaction here, he had planned that baby out. He headed down there to make that slide. You see the reaction for a lot of people.
Well, and if you go back to, and obviously, want to give credit. I mean, a lot of times you think about the kicker, but it's the whole operation, right? It's Lane Hansen, the snapper, and I think we got Hugh holding. But again, if you look at it too, you mentioned the rush unit for Maryland. There's not a lot of room to work with here. I mean, they're coming hard, and if things aren't right dialed in, it's an issue.
Yeah, this is Hunter Whiteneck, who's done this 2 years for us. I believe this is JP, if I'm not mistaken, Julian Pearl. We got some big guys on the edges over here. This is Tip Ryman, who does a great job just getting enough on 2. But, obviously the edge guy is always going to come rolling. We just got to delay him enough. But this is really about how every field goal looks if you slow it down. There's the operation. Caleb gets such great height on the ball, and then there was no doubt. This was probably good from another 10 yards, to be quite honest. So I think you can see down here our AD goes a little bit nuts. Josh is down here making a little bit of a scream. So a lot of really good, not just a win for our football team, but all of Illini Nation.
Yeah, well, good victory. Coach, thank you for your time, and thank you for stopping by Football 101.
Football 101 with Coach Bret Bielema. Brought to you by Carl, the official health provider of Fighting Illini Athletics.